Well, hello everyone. It's Joe, and most of you that are subscribed to my channel obviously know that I do tarot. I read tarot on YouTube, and I usually don't veer off that very much to address anything else or talk about anything else. I think the only other time I did was this crazy dream I had about Comet Atlas. That was at the time I had the dream. It was near Mars, and I had this crazy dream about it flinging all kinds of chaos and stuff toward us as it was going to loop around the sun. And in my dream, after it looped the sun, then we started really breaking into the age of Aquarius and leaving the age of Pisces. So it was a really crazy dream, and obviously that didn't happen, but it does feel like we got all the chaos and stuff brought our way, which is interesting. But anyway, I usually don't talk about other things, but I did have this really crazy dream last night about the Ring of Fire eclipse that's supposed to happen, I think, on the 21st of June here. And this eclipse isn't visible from all parts of the world, obviously. It's primarily, I believe, going to be through Asia, like China, India, predominantly. But anyway, so the Ring of Fire eclipse is where the moon is pretty much at its furthest point from the earth, and so the disk of the moon doesn't completely block the disk of the sun, and so you get this ring of fire, and you can really see the corona of the sun on the outside of the moon. And so the moon and the sun obviously have very interesting symbolistic type meanings. But to me, in this dream, and it was very chaotic and weird, and it was hard for me to completely grasp my dream. The interesting thing is I was dreaming and I woke up because it was pretty intense. And so I woke up, got up for a few minutes, and went and laid back down. And then apparently I resumed my dream, kind of picked up where I left off, which has never happened to me before. So anyway, I've been up, I've been at work, and I've just really been kind of just messing with my head in a way. So in my dream, the Ring of Fire eclipse was as a sense of symbolism, was illuminating the collective as a whole and each person individually to illuminate what's been hiding in our own shadows. So in our shadow aspect, the things about ourselves that maybe we fear the most, maybe we want the most, some of our secrets and some of our subconscious thoughts and subconscious feelings. So anyway, this illumination was happening to help each and every person confront and address parts of themselves that needed to be addressed. So on a collective level, and we see all the things that we have going on right now with within the collective, world events and current events are pretty crazy, and this is a time where people are rising up to speak their truth. They are standing up for themselves. They are asserting themselves. They are trying to take a stand to create change, fairness, true equality, true justice, true balancing of the scales. And so there's this big upheaval, and it almost is like this is what Atlas brought our way, this chaos and conflict and the turmoil. And it is for not without a purpose, because there are things that need to be addressed in the hearts of humanity, in our hearts and our minds. And so if we can't, in my dream, there were two factions of people. You had those that were willing to look at the shadow aspect of themselves and of the collective, and you had those that were resistant to look at it, and those that wouldn't look at themselves. There was no self-observation, and there was no observation of the collective. It was just this refusal and denial of what is in plain sight. And so in my dream, there was just like this splitting of the collective of people. And in my dream, some were going one way, one group, and the other group was going the other way. And so the group of people who were individually willing to look at their shortcomings, their character defects, the things that they really don't say, but maybe they think the things that they feel but really don't say, that have a negative impact on their fellow man and on the collective as a whole. These types of things that really needed to be addressed on a personal level, and almost kind of a sort of an amends needs to start to happen. And so there's these people that were willing to address things, and people that were willing to join with the collective to address these things on a healthy level. And then you had the other group that just couldn't handle the truth. And so in my dream, there was a splitting of the collective, and like the splitting of almost like it became two worlds. And so you had the collective that wanted to ascend and rise up and elevate and move up a notch. And so those people kind of had this it wasn't like a new earth. It was like people that wanted to address this stayed. I felt like a spectator, so it was kind of weird, but stayed. And then people that refused to address these things and to ascend went to like almost like a carbon copy of our earth, and they had to continue kind of going through karmic cycles for generations and generations and incarnations. So this group of people just had things that they had to work out. They had things that, okay, you can't you can't wake up. You're not going through the awakening or an awakening, and so you are going to be in this group over here, and you are going to be in this new cycle of lifetimes, this karmic cycle, and it's going to continue until you can finally wake up. And then the other group of people were ascending and were exiting karmic cycles because they were willing to address their own shortcomings and to express an equality for one another, and an equality for their fellow human, and to address and look at things themselves that really needed to be illuminated. And so this ring of fire was like this purification of one's soul, one's shadow side. It was this illumination of the shadow side that allowed us to be willing and accepting to address things that needed to be addressed. And so I thought it was kind of a cool dream. It was really strange, though, that I kind of woke up and then went back to sleep after a few minutes and resumed my dream. So I don't know if anybody else kind of is looking at this eclipse. I know it's symbolistic. All things are symbolic to me when it comes to dreams, but there are people that do have somewhat prophetic dreams. I'm not saying that's what this is, but it's just interesting. It's interesting because this dream kind of tied in a sense, with Comet Atlas, and it's like this is like the launch, or the beginning of the launch to the age of Aquarius, leaving the Piscean age, the age of religious doctrines and institutions, institutional ways of thinking and believing, and opening one's eyes to the truth. And so it was all kinds of interesting symbolism in the dream. I wish I could just paint a clearer picture of what I experienced in this dream. So with that, I'm gonna just go back to work here and just go back to making videos on tarot. But I thought it was a really cool dream. So I don't know if anybody else has had any dreams about this eclipse and this so-called illumination that is kind of feels like that's what's incoming, and it's like a spotlight on humanity right now. And it feels like to me that's going to intensify, and it's going to it's gaining momentum. And I think around the 21st of June, there to me, I feel like personally there's just some very big things happening. It's going to be interesting to see what that is, though. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to quit rambling about my crazy dreams, and I'll see. I have what do I have coming next? Capricorn, and then I have Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius for July 2020. So I'll talk to you again. Thanks.